Hello, hello, hello. So it's Jack, I'm back, and I had a bit of an idea here for a little bit of a video. So I wanted to jump on really quickly. I'm just getting set up for work, so I am not going to be here for an extended period of time, but of course, you know, I wanted to check in. So yesterday I posted this video about the Arc Animal Tarot, right? And I was talking about like the size of it and, you know, how amazed I am with this beautiful, beautiful deck. I mean, this is the Star, the polar bear, right? So I just wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up because there was a bit of a discussion that started to happen in the comments, which is great, by the way. I love that. But just kind of about some other larger decks that people have. And so I decided to go to my collection and pull out a few of the cards that I happen to have that are various sizes and what have you. So I wanted to kind of show you guys some of the different sizes that we experience with tarot and oracle decks, right? So this is your standard size. It's what, two and a half by 3, I think, or no, yeah, 2.5 by 4, 2.5 by 3.5, something like that. I didn't measure to begin. I'm not measuring any of them. That's not what I was getting at. It's just comparison, right? But this is like your standard tarot card size. Okay. So then this deck, so this is the Waite Smith Centennial. Okay. So then this one is slightly larger. Okay. So you can see that there's a slight difference there. Line them up. See? It's a bit of a difference there, but not a huge difference. And this is the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. Okay. And so it is a little bit larger, and even though it's not that much, it definitely makes a difference when you're shuffling it. All right. And then there was a comment about the Moonology Oracle. So this is the Moonology Oracle. It's the back of the cards there. And so this one is about the same height as the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot, but it is, of course, considerably wider. Oracle decks do have a tendency to be larger in general, so they're larger in width as well. So you definitely get that extra edge there. So there's 3, okay? And then I'm not even sure, like I'm just kind of going through this like sort of instinctively to see like which ones are bigger, which ones are smaller. So then this card is the Green Man. It comes out of the Sacred Circle Tarot by Anna. Sorry, I can't remember the name of the artist. I'd have to look it up. So that's just, you know, it's quite large. These ones are very flexible, which does actually make it easier with larger cards to shuffle them. But again, right now, like when I line this up, see, it's just slightly taller than that Moonology card, but it's actually a little bit narrower, right? So slight differences, but again, nothing too serious. Okay. Now I've got Marielle Tarot. Okay. And again, this is a very, very large card. So it is slightly, only a couple of millimeters narrower than the Sacred Circle Tarot, but it is quite a bit taller, right? So again, you know, that makes a big difference. Like when you've got 78 of these cards in your hands, they can be quite a challenge to shuffle. But again, you know, the card stock is quite flexible, so it does make it easier. So then I have this. Now, I have actually trimmed the rest of these. This is just a blank card that was included. This is from the Druid Animal Oracle. So as you can see, these cards are absolutely enormous. These are the largest cards that I have. And as I said, I did trim them, and they are still very large trimmed, but I trimmed off all of this white border. So it's all missing off of all of the other cards that have the actual images. This is so that you can add an animal of your choosing, or if you feel the need to replace something because it gets lost or what have you. So I don't use them for anything, which is why it's not trimmed. It's actually the only one that's not. But if I was to use it to add to the deck, I would, of course. But so that's the largest card that I have. And just as a comparison here to our little polar bear, so that's quite a bit larger than these large cards, right? So then we're going to go in the opposite direction. Okay, so we've got all these really big cards here, right? Or, you know, our standard size with the Waite Smith. And then I have these. So this is the Two of Pentacles from the Cloisters Tarot. Tarot of the, yeah, I think it's called Cloisters Tarot. So it's a Rider-Waite based deck. They all look like, you know, stained glass, which is amazing. They're beautiful, but it's a circle and it's, you know, not that big, right? And again, very flexible, very, you know, I wouldn't say flimsy, but definitely flexible, right? So that does make it easier because they're such an odd shape, right? And that like shape can definitely affect the way that they shuffle. And then I have a couple of mini decks. So I have the Baby Panda version of the Way of the Panda Tarot, and these are actually quite a bit thicker for cardstock. Which does make it a bit of a challenge shuffling something so small. But, you know, with a little bit of time, I've noticed they do kind of break in a little bit and get a little bit softer. So they are easier to shuffle. But, you know, that's quite, you know, quite small there. And then these are my smallest deck. So this is the Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot. Okay. So it's a very, very small card, right? So just in comparison to our little panda here, right? So it is a very, very small deck, right? And then even like our little Cloisters disc here, you know, it's still, you know, it's just about the same height, or is the same height as that tarot, or that Way of the Panda Tarot, right? So then let's take a big different look at this. Like, look at that. Right? So my largest cards and my smallest cards. Like, how crazy is that, right? So tarot used to be very standard, right? If you go back and look at, like, all these older decks, they were all this size. And when I say older, I'm not talking about, like, the Marseille from a while back. We're talking about, you know, this, like, a while back. Sorry about that. Okay, so I said way back. I didn't mean to be so general about it, but I mean, the Marseille cards were, or they're still typically going to be quite a bit taller and a little bit wider, but not like in a huge way. They're not unwieldy, but typically the average tarot deck is going to be this size. But, and if you go back into like the early 1900s when the decks are starting to, well, when this was created, and then looking at the Thoth Tarot and like moving forward from like, say, the 1940s on, you start to see the cards are all the same size. And then you get into my experience with seeing the cards changing size and structure. Right. So we started getting round decks, I believe, in the late 70s or early 80s. If I remember correctly, the very first one was the Mother Piece Tarot. It's the first one I remember hearing about anyways. And then we start getting larger and larger and larger cards. And the larger size is good for the artwork because it does enable you to see the pictures so much better. But it doesn't necessarily make the cards easier to use, because if you can't hold them, you can't shuffle them, you can't use them. Right. So we've kind of come up with different ways to be able to shuffle these cards. And like I said before, like I have small hands, right? Like if you were to take the same card and like compare it to your hand, I can almost guarantee you you're going to have more going on up there, because like they're not mini hands, but they're definitely little. But then like when I look at like these ones, right? Like that's like that's like a lot of my hand goes missing. And, you know, the more I look at these cards, like that, my hand is gone, guys. Like, hello, there's nothing. Like, it's completely covered. There's, like, just barely this little bit at the bottom and this little tiny bit of my one finger over the top. So, anyways, that was, I just wanted to kind of take a look at, you know, like, the different sizes, because there's this assumption that, like, all cards are going to be the same size. They all function the same way. They really don't. Right, and I actually have a video about a tarot deck's voice on my YouTube if you want to check it out. So it's definitely there. I'll drop a link here in the so that you know where to go. I don't know if I'll put it on the screen or not, but definitely check that out as well if you're interested. Thanks, guys.